Though I am 69 years old and do not have much longer to live, nevertheless, I hope to live to see the day that the red flag covers all the earth. Unfortunately for Nikita Khrushchev, the communists within Russia decided differently and he's been deposed. But the hope of communists everywhere for communist triumph remains. The president of Communist China, Liu Shaoqi, wrote the book How to Be a Good Communist. Let me quote from that. What is the fundamental duty of us Communist Party members? As everybody knows, it is to transform the present world into a communist world. The communists are convinced that communist world triumph is inevitable and that the communists have the responsibility to minister this inevitability through their programs. We must acknowledge that history records that the communists have made great progress towards the achievement of their objective. No movement in history has ever advanced as far on the pathway towards world conquest as the communists have. To recapitulate figures already given, Lenin established Bolshevism with about 17 supporters in 1903. He conquered Russia with 40,000 in 1917. Today, the communists, or the Leninists, have conquered more than 1 billion of the Earth's population, and they have programs in being in practically every other country designed to accomplish the conquest of the entire world. Nevertheless, they seem a long way from their objective of conquering such countries as the United States. And many people find it completely inconceivable that this communist program could succeed. How do the communists propose to conquer the United States? It may be best to consider a few ways that the communists do not believe will be successful in establishing communism within this country. Firstly, the communists do not believe they will be successful in establishing communism by the vote of the people. They don't foresee the day when a majority of the voters will go to the ballot box and elect communist candidates to the Congress of the United States so that communism can be voted into power. They don't expect to elect a communist president to exercise executive authority. Whatever use the communists try to make of the ballot box, they don't honestly expect that they will vote communists into power. Secondly, the communists do not expect to defeat America in a thermonuclear war. This is decidedly not their purpose. This, they believe, is one thing that must be avoided at all costs. Their reasons for this are quite significant. Firstly, they're very proud of the achievements that have taken place in what they call the socialist world since the original communist conquest of Russia in 1917. They're very proud of the great cities, the dams, the various buildings, bridges that have been created. They know that thermonuclear war would lead to the destruction of these things, and they don't wish them destroyed. But even more significantly, they're aware of the magnificent material achievements manifest within the United States of America. They know full well the magnificent factories and schools and homes and roads and bridges and the tremendous achievements within this country, and they desire to occupy them intact so that they can use them, seeing they believe that it's inevitable that they will come to power. They don't want the building destroyed when they believe that they're going to own it very soon. So the communist objective is not the defeat of America in thermonuclear war. What is the objective? Originally, communism believed that an internal violent revolution was essential in each country for the establishment of communist dictatorship. The major portion of the communist world has now jettisoned this idea as it applies to the United States and the countries of Western Europe, though they retain it for the countries of Asia, Africa, and Latin America. There is some disagreement within the ranks of communism on this point. Those communists associated with the Chinese communist position do believe that internal violent revolution is to play a significant role in the establishment of communism, even in the countries of Western Europe and the United States. This is the central issue of the conflict between the Russian and the Chinese communists. The Russian communists and those affiliated with them no longer believe that violent revolution is essential for the establishment of communism in such countries as the United States. So they have ruled out the method of internal violent revolution seizing power within this country. If we eliminate communist power by vote, defeat of the United States in thermonuclear war, internal violent revolution, what's left? What's left is the real communist program for the conquest of this country: surrender. The communist program may be expressed by the formula external encirclement plus internal demoralization equals progressive surrender. And their objective is to conquer by revolution, what they call people's revolts. The countries of Southeast Asia, Asia generally, Africa, Latin America, to isolate and neutralize countries of Western Europe, such as Western Germany and England, and to isolate, encircle, and demoralize the United States so that the blackmail of total communist power will be adequate to enforce a series of concessions which in summation will equate surrender. The communist program of encirclement is quite obvious. The main thrust is into Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Malaysia. They're hopeful that Indonesia will swing to communism, Burma, India and Pakistan, then the Arab countries, and finally that the communist tide will engulf Africa. Spreading out from Cuba, the subversive agents are stimulating the people's revolts, the nationalist revolts behind which the communists lurk throughout Latin America. And if the communists are successful in their objective of the conquest of Southeast Asia, Africa, and Latin America, they will be in total control of 2 billion of the people of the earth, 2/3 of the world's population. They believe that America will then be encircled numerically, militarily, economically, and psychologically as by a vast propaganda campaign utilizing literature, films, and radio. The communists build universal hatred towards the United States, presenting it as a monstrous imperialistic power, threatening the peoples of the world with exploitation and destruction. Once this encirclement is complete, the pressures that can be brought to bear within the United States will obviously be very severe. Economic pressures, as overseas markets are cut off, as selective dumping of Soviet products can be used to destroy American foreign markets. The economic pressures can be very great. Military blackmail from the encircling might of communism. This will lead, they believe, to a series of concessions. Now, to consummate their power, they need a process of demoralization within the United States. There are many factors demoralizing this country, but the factor that will determine the survival of this country as constitutional government is whether the youth of this country believe that the values, the historic values of freedom and civilization are adequate to merit the final sacrifice of death. Once the majority of the sons of a country believe that life and its pleasures is the ultimate value, that nothing is of greater value than life itself, therefore no cause merits the sacrifice of life. Human freedom does not merit death. The integrity and sovereignty of your own country does not merit death. Once this attitude prevails, communist victory becomes sure, because all they need to do is to create a situation in which the alternatives are concession or possible death. Obviously, even though the concession is unpleasant, it is to be preferred to the alternative of death. So the concession is made, and by a summation of such concessions, the communists believe that this great country will finally reach the point where it is helpless before the encircling communist might and will surrender. This day will come when the slogan, "Better red than dead," becomes dominant.